Joining us now in the studio with more on the delivery of Russian S-300 missile systems to Syria is Zeev Levin, the head of the Central Eurasian Research Unit at the Harry S. Truman Institute of the Hebrew University. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you. Welcome back. So, first of all, what does this delivery mean for the region? Let's start there.
Well, there are quite a few angles to this action. First of all, upgrading the systems on ground, providing more security for the Syrian air and controlling the situation or threatening Israeli Air Force or any other aircrafts crossing the boundaries that the Russians set on ground, first. Second is saying quite firmly that Russians wouldn't tolerate anymore any uncoordinated or unapproved actions of Israelis against any target on Syrian ground, if it would be Syrian or Iranian or whatsoever. And actually, Israeli actions on ground and via air are pretty much embarrassing Russia in Syria, because Israeli air forces were doing pretty much working on air without any restraints, and showing that the old systems, the S-200s, were pretty much incapable of doing anything against the Israeli strikes. Now, when the Russians provided the new systems, Israel will engage a dual impact in their actions. First, they probably could overcome this threat, but then will be embarrassing even the Russians furthermore, saying that their newer missiles couldn't stop them. And this will be quite a political problem for Israel, because Israel is in for quite a few years now is playing a middleman role between the US and Russia. Yeah. For one stand, not embracing the sanctions, and Prime Minister Netanyahu is visiting Putin on various occasions, and they have numerous telephone talks, so they have open channels and coordination on ground about Syria and other aspects. So once again, showing that US-made and provided systems are more capable than Russians, are not in direct Israeli interest anymore.
So, I'd like to address maybe the second 2 points that you said. The first one, or rather the second point that you made, you were talking about, Russian capabilities and I'm sorry, Israeli kind of embarrassing Russia. Do you think that the S-300s will again, you mentioned that Israel doesn't want to embarrass Russia, but then at the same time, will Israel continue to operate anyway, as they said? Do you believe that they'll continue to operate anyway, and will the S-300 pose a real problem to that?
History shows that the Israel Defense Forces were considering about Israel defense. And if there will be a considerable threat that Israel wouldn't tolerate, or say that we can't pass this red line. Sure. Here again, we have still on-ground coordination systems with the Russian forces on ground, and maybe this time the coordination will be firmer, and our forces will say, we will have to target this place, or make them go away by yourself. And sure. Here we have the combination between the political and the army ability. But here again, I think that is there a threat about the posing of these missile systems on ground? And much more than this is about setting and putting on ground coordination centers that operating them, and which weren't
sure.
there till now. It could bring a new wave or rebirth of the weapons race in the Middle East once again between the US and Russia.
Well, okay, so again, kind of going back to the aspect of embarrassment, if Israel were to strike the S-300s successfully, how would Russia likely respond to that? Would they spark an arms race, as you said? Would they just keep sending bigger and better arms to Syria?
Well, this is what I said. It's quite a danger of the rebirth of the arms race, which was present in the Middle East in the 70s and in the 80s, where the Americans were supplying the Israelis and the Russians were supplying all other Arab countries with the top weaponry over and over again. And here again, I'm not a weapons specialist, so I kind of not sure what I'm talking about now, but S-300 was built in the late 70s. And I read the news, I listened to the Russian channels. No one talks about what kind of modification of S-300 were supplied to Syria. So it might be that they didn't provide the newest modification. And once again, Russians say that they have already S-400 and they will launch in a few years S-500. So once again,
so this isn't even the newest kind of.
It's surely not the newest kind, and once again, if Israel will be forced to act, I think that the political considerations will be on top of this, not about if they can or cannot, but what will be the outcome.
What will be the political outcome? All right, Zeev Levin, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me.